The lone Sunday game, they moved this one back from 10 o'clock Eastern to 9 o'clock Eastern, which makes it an 8 o'clock kick local time in the Alamo Dome. If you would have told me prior to the XFL season that the San Antonio Brahmas would be favored over the Arlington Renegades, I would have told you do your homework because you're just simply wrong. And this is why paper doesn't matter. Arlington is what they would call a paper tiger. Simple as that. I mean, this is a team I had ranked number 2 in my preseason power poll, and I had San Antonio at 7. So this is shocking to me that we've ended up here in week 5, where we're going in this 2-week stretch where it's back-to-back games for these two squads, and San Antonio is favored. The Arlington Renegades. Said it Monday. Listen, 0-4 against the spread. Much like the 2020 version of this team coached by Bob Stoops, they are atrocious to bet on. Don't know what it is. Vegas covered by the hook in week 1, ripped the heart out of my chest. Gave me another loss in the best bets. But the sportsbooks have adjusted to how bad they are to bet on and giving the nod to San Antonio as a 1-3 team. We tried to tell you in the power poll that San Antonio's at 5 and Arlington's at 6, and Vegas agrees with us. Favored over the 2-2 Arlington Renegades. I said Monday we would take the under on this, even if it was like 12.5. I have changed my mind a little bit. I still lean the under. I will not make it a best bet for this reason. I think Jimmy Johnson, by the way, Zook, Jimmy Johnson. When I say Jimmy Johnson, who do you think of? Rapid fire.
Cowboys coach.
Okay. Most would say that. I think NASCAR driver. I could tell you who we don't think. San Antonio Brahmas running back coach, who has now been elevated to call plays for the Brahmas. Anytime a running back coach gets promoted, what does that mean? They're going to run the ball. And they should, with Kalen Ballage and Jacques Patrick. 2 great tailbacks there in San Antonio. We thought that would be their identity. It was in the St. Louis game when Ballage got like 29 carries. So we're going to shift from the pass to the run, and that's why Zook and I are a little more confident in San Antonio. We like the change here. Got to get the ball out of Jack Cohn's hands. And not by throwing it through the air. Do the same thing he did at Wisconsin. Handoffs. He's handing the ball off there. He should hand the ball off here. He shouldn't throw more than 20, 25 times. He's had too much volume. I don't need to sweat out this total at 35.5. I think that the total being 7 points lower than the other 3 games this week scares me away a little bit, but I would still lean that way. I could see like 18-16 or so, which would be just short. So that would get you to the under. Statistically, the worst offenses in the league. Arlington actually last in the league in tackles for loss. Talking about their defense, that's so great. They're really not all that great. Against St. Louis, they were torched last week. Donald Payne, a bright spot there, does lead the league in tackles as he did in the USFL when he played there. Arlington, dead last in both offensive categories, rushing, passing, and a third, which is scoring offense. We saw Kyle Sloter take over the reins in week 3 for Jonathan Hayes and Chuck Long. Took over for Drew Plitt. Stoops saying in his press conference they're basically 1A and 1B, and there's a quarterback battle going on. We'll see who wins that one. Your guess is as good as mine, guys. I don't know. You see the stats. Sloter 66%, Plitt 63%. Really not that much different. They both haven't been able to move the ball for Arlington. Will Hines Ward make the call for Reed Sinnett to replace Jack Cohn? That's what I want to know in this one. Flipping to the San Antonio quarterback situation. Something each of the three of the 4 bottom XFL teams have in common is that they've all benched their day one starters at some point for the backup, except San Antonio. They're the only ones that have rode with Cohn. They want to moan for Cohn in San Antonio. I think it's time for Sinnett. Flipping sides of the ball, Renegade offense, Brahmas defense. I think the Brahmas defense will have an edge here. They do lead the league in tackles for loss. We touched on all the Arlington offensive woes on Monday's show. It's really getting bad there. They're just simply spinning their tires. They're stuck. Sloter, He had them all fired up in the pregame. They're going to send 40,000 sad St. Louis fans home with a loss. That didn't work out. 3 picks for Sloter. Kind of jinxed himself. They end up with less than 50 yards on the ground. They turn it over 4 total times. And Adrian Killens has been cut yesterday. That shocked me. Adrian Killens was a guy we highlighted coming into the season as a game changer. Open field speed. Saw him do it at UCF. Nope, cut. And again, they cut Keith Ford already. So this running back room completely gouged from the inside out. Actually, they traded for Adrian Killens. He was a Houston Roughneck, which I bet he'll end up back there. He was traded in training camp. So they get rid of Ford. They get rid of Killens. They've got Smith and Farrow left. Will they bring in another running back? We'll see. Smith has been the bell cow for them. So what else do we know here? Luke Barco won't get many targets coming his way, so whichever receiver gets the pleasure of being locked down by him is not going to have a great afternoon. Actually, in the Alamo Dome, I don't think any of the offenses are going to have any kind of progress here. I mean, you might get a little flash out of somebody, whether I think TJ Vasher might come back for San Antonio. He's been limited in practice. He was out last week. Highlighting one specific positional group for San Antonio, the linebackers, and for a reason. They're coached by Joey Porter, the former Pittsburgh Steeler. Been doing a great job as a positional coach. He's got Jordan Williams. He's leading the league in solo tackles. He's got some other great talent in that linebacking core. So keep an eye on that. That might be something to watch for Arlington. I'm interested to see the atmosphere here. Again, 24,000 in the Alamo Dome in week 1. The Brahmas back home in those slick black uniforms. Finally get out of those ugly piss yellows. And we got the black uniforms back. 8 p.m. start local. They moved this back again. That's going to help attendance figures. And the San Antonio Brahmas are the pick here for Zook. We put them in the power poll at 5 for a reason. I think the Jimmy Johnson offense certainly helps with them being able to run the ball. San Antonio for a crucial game in the XFL South playoff race. Who you got?
I got San Antonio.
And you might be a little more confident than I am talking to you before the show.
I am. I think I'm going to piggyback on what you said earlier. They're going to run the rock.
Yeah.
I think that's huge. Both these offenses are bad. But San Antonio's is better.
Yeah. Statistically,
I feel like defensively, it's a push.
Okay. San Antonio, I mean, you watched them against Seattle last week. I think probably the best anybody has played against Seattle defensively.
Right. I still think it's a push.
Okay.
I like the offense here. So if I was able to same game parlay,
which
I would take
can't do it.
The points and the under.
You like the under? I was gonna ask for your thoughts on the total. I think the under is probably a no-brainer, but again, I found better value on this card, and we don't like to bet every game because we like the quality over the quantity here on Springball Boulevard. But I mean, if you're looking for something on a Sunday night to throw out while you're betting some March Madness, give the under a look. Mikey's been pretty big on Jack Cohn this year. He's kind of forgiven some of the mistakes that he's made, and I assume he's going Brahmas. Yeah, so all 3 of us on the Brahmas, all 3 of us on the Vipers.